everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of the MaryGoRound podcast. Well, you guys, it's been a minute since I've released an episode, and that is because I was sick. I actually wasn't even able to play in the MLP Atlanta event this past weekend, which was a bummer because if you know me, you know I would play a pickleball tournament every single weekend if I could. But it was good to support my friends and watch a lot and also support my team, the Miami Pickleball Club. They made it to the semifinals. Tyson McGuffin, Federico Staxrud, Hurricane Tyra Black, and Allison Harris, who filled in for me. They all played amazing. And I feel like we're going to carry that momentum into the LA event this November. So, SoCal friends, please come support the Miami Pickleball Club. And also support Maggie's team, the Columbus Sliders. They played well all weekend, but unfortunately, my team had to be the reason they were eliminated. So let's hope that Maggie and I are not in the same pool this November. Now I want to introduce you guys to my guest for the day. He is one of the kindest, most genuine humans on tour. He is also a premier level MLP player for the Chicago Slice. This guy is from Oregon. He is a father of 2, and he also made the switch from a full-time job to full-time pickleball this May. Here is one of my favorite mixed partners ever, Erik Lange. Hello, Erik. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Where are you calling from this morning?
I am in my home, Westland. So
Nice.
just outside of Portland.
Okay, in the PNW, you have some time back at home in between tournaments to train and whatnot.
I do. Yeah. No, it'll be long trip to Atlanta. We missed you out there. Too bad you weren't able to make it, but hopefully you're feeling better.
I know I'm feeling better, at least my voice is back for the purpose of this podcast and that we could talk a little bit because I definitely wanted to talk about how from 1:30 to 2:15 you were the best player in the world last weekend. I believe it was on Friday or Saturday. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, I mean, clearly I had a moment which was very enjoyable. Playing alongside Ben makes it really easy to focus on just a few things, right? So he allows me to, he gives me the scouting report. I know what I'm supposed to do, and he makes it really easy. And I just happen to start feeling it, I played Riley a bunch of times and Christian a few times, and he's gotten the better of me probably more times than not. But for this one moment in a big event on center court, it was nice to get the upper hand and play really well. So it really enjoyable experience for me. And Ben, hopefully too.
Oh my gosh, Erik, you did not miss. I was screaming at the TV because I was like, yes, Erik, yes, this is so good. It was incredible. And like you just said, so playing alongside Ben, had you guys ever teamed up for anything before, or was this the first time you guys have played together?
I mean, I've been playing against him, right, for 7 years, my whole entire career. And so I know what he's good at, and he's very disciplined, right? He sticks to his plan, doesn't deviate, makes it really easy on his partners to know what he's going to do at all times. So I just need to be prepared to let him do what he does, give him maximum touches on the ball. And occasionally, if something's coming at me, find a way to get him involved or hit it back really hard, one of the two. So,
Nice.
he made it easy on me in that particular match and really throughout the weekend.
Oh, that is so good to hear. I mean, I'm excited to watch you guys team up again soon. And like you mentioned, you've been playing against Ben and players like Riley. I was going to say how I heard in one of his interviews how you guys go way back. You guys have been playing against each other for years. What have those battles been like over the years? Like, do any come to mind specifically of like those battles with those guys?
One of my very first tournaments I actually played with Riley, and we played in Las Vegas, and this was in, I think, 2018 in the summer. And we were both kind of newer players, but up and coming. And we played and we went 0-2. We had a terrible day, and that's the only time I've actually played a tournament with Riley. I guess it didn't go well, but
That's hard to
clearly,
imagine.
I know, but clearly he's become one of the best players in the game. He's very active, really athletic. He's got so many skills. So he managed to insert himself really well in both men's and mixed. So definitely admire him and his skill set, and we have played some matches over the years. And like I mentioned, he's gotten the better of me and probably more than most. But certainly in this one match at this one moment for that half an hour period of time, I felt like I was on top of the world. So it was great.
You were on fire. It was so good to see. And wow, it was just such a good weekend for your team. And it'll be fun in November for you guys to run it back.
Yeah, the team experience was great. So we stayed in a house together. It's kind of interesting, the behind the scenes stuff, right? So stuff that fans don't typically see, how players interact with each other, how at the house we actually don't really talk about pickleball too much. It's about other stuff, right? It's about just our general life and what we're doing, and maybe in my case my kids, and
Yeah.
so we try to make it not about pickleball, and I think that helps kind of the chemistry of the team on court. You just learn more about your teammate, your new friend, right? And then you really want to perform for both yourself and for them, because you're in it together. So the time spent with Jesse and Lacey was great. Got to know those two people even better, and obviously Ben as well. So yeah, really good chemistry with our team, and hope to run it back in about a month.
Oh, that's so good to hear. Yeah, the team chemistry is so important because when you're on the same page, it just makes things gel even more and brings more success. So that's great to hear. Well, I want to transition a little bit into your specific pickleball journey, how you got started, and how things have changed over the years. Let's hear it.
Sure. So I worked for Head Penn Racket Sports as a regional sales manager for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And about 7 years ago, Head got involved in pickleball. We started making paddles, right? And I was a tennis player. I just come off some injuries from tennis. And so pickleball kind of came at the right time. And as I was out, selling the new product, I realized that I needed to understand the game to sell it effectively to the buyers and players that I was speaking to. So started to play just in my local Portland area, met some great people, Wes Gabrielson, Enrique Ruiz, Curtis Campbell, some names from the past, and Wes obviously is still very current.
Yeah.
Just got involved with the group with a bunch of guys my age, and met some really fun people. And it started for me just as a competitive hobby. That's all I thought it would be. I thought it's something I could stay in shape and still use my racket and paddle skills to transition to this other sport that I found really fun. Plus, it was something I was doing for work, so it was a perfect mix. And as I started playing tournaments and kind of improving and working on my game, and with pickleball growing as well, opportunities started to come. I mean, there were days where if you win $500 at a pickleball tournament, you feel like you're on top of the world, right? Like, and now the money has gotten to a point where people have careers. I quit my full-time job, as to
Yes.
focus on pickleball, even at 42 years old, right? So it's a pretty exciting sport to be a part of at this moment, and it's certainly come a long way in the 7 years that I've been playing. And I can't wait to see where it's going to be just in a couple of years from now.
Oh my gosh. It's amazing to hear your perspective because you have been playing the game for a while and your level is at the top. Like, you're just such an amazing player. And I wanted to ask, how are you feeling in this moment about making the decision to go full time? I feel like I'm just so glad you did. How are you feeling today about it?
Yeah, I think it's different for each person, depending on where they're at in their stage of life.
Yeah.
There's some people that are maybe still in high school, some that just finished college and kind of have this opportunity where they're pursuing it maybe before another career. For me, it's a little bit different. Married for 20 years, two kids, 16 and 13. I think I might be the only player on tour with teenage children, so it's kind of a unique time for me. So, I enjoyed my time at Head. I felt like it was ready. I was ready for a new challenge, for something different. Pickleball was there. I was pretty good at pickleball, and figured, I'm going to take this opportunity. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I'll figure out something else. But, I didn't want to, I'd say I typically don't regret things, but one of my regrets in life was not pursuing tennis in college. I just played high school tennis at a fairly high level, but just was burned out at the time.
Yeah.
So for pickleball, I didn't want to let a similar opportunity pass me by. At least now I can say that, I took the plunge and I went all in, and training and eating well and practicing consistently like a professional athlete should, right?
Yeah.
And then, we'll see where it goes, but I've taken the plunge and I've made the commitment, and I won't look back at this point.
Oh, I think it's so inspiring. I wondered also how you balance, being a dad and playing. What is a typical day like for you?
It's a good question. So I would be remiss not to mention my very supportive wife, Beth. I mean, she's been there since I met her when I was 17 years old at the
Oh
University of
my
Oregon, right?
gosh.
So we've been together a long time. She's been very supportive of the whole decision to go full-time pickleball. I wouldn't have made that decision without that support. And she's kind of the rock. So when I'm in Atlanta for 5 days, she's here with the kids, and she works part-time as well, but she takes care of the day-to-day stuff, like homework, making sure that certain things are getting done. And then when I come back, it's kind of a whirlwind, and I probably step on toes and do things that I shouldn't necessarily do. But no, she's the best, and she's been terrific in helping me manage the whole process. And I think the thing that's really helped. So if there are other players out there that have young kids, and as they start to grow, getting them involved in what I'm doing or what they're doing really helps their engagement with the sport. So my daughter loves pickleball drama. My son loves to watch me play. He goes out and plays himself. A lot of times he'll be in the garage hitting against the ping pong wall, just to practice, while I maybe even on court on a stream or something, because he loves the sport so much. And so the buy-in from the family really helps with supporting me and this adventure that we're kind of all on together.
Wow, that's great to hear. Yeah, that's good advice. I mean, you might be raising future pickleball pros in your family. I think I've seen a video of your son playing, and didn't he win
Yeah,
a tournament?
it's interesting. Yeah, he's not. I'd say the temper is the one thing we need to work on. He's very competitive, but he's extremely quick. He picks
Okay.
up new shots, and he likes to imitate some of the other pros. Not me, I'm not that exciting, but the other
Oh,
pros he likes to imitate. So he's got his own style, and I want to be real careful not to push it too hard, right? I feel like maybe as a junior playing tennis, and I think other tennis players can sometimes attest to this, that it's a very competitive sport, and you want your kid to do it because they enjoy it, and it's something they want to pursue. And so I'm being cautious there, letting him kind of just let me know when he wants to play, and that seems to be the best balance, at least for our family.
wow. Okay. So I'll be looking for him on the tour, and maybe your future partner. You never know.
I know we can play those mixed the mixed pro events, I guess split
Oh,
age events, right? So he's 13 now. Maybe when I'm 8 years from now, when I'm 50 and he's 21, there we go. Perfect.
there you go. Dream team. Oh,
Yeah.
that is so awesome. Well, not too much of a shift, but definitely want to touch on the fact that you did work on the sales side of, pickleball. And I want to talk a little bit about paddle technology and how you feel like paddles have changed over the years. What do you think of that? Like companies just trying to add more grit to paddles and all this kind of stuff. What do you think about that subject?
Yeah, I mean, compared to 7 years ago when I started, paddles have come a long way, right? The amount of topspin that you can generate, power that you can counter with, makes a big difference. And for some of those pros that have been around a long time, they're having a hard time adjusting to the new changes, because you can actually you can change your game based on the paddle technology
Yeah.
compared to shots that you hit years ago. I think you'll find somebody like Ben. I mean, Ben is constantly experimenting with new stuff, right? So he had a little more basic game 7 years ago. Still did some things exceptionally well, but he's added a bunch of new shots as a result of paddle technology and being willing to change, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess selfishly, I would prefer that people can't hit topspin lobs on a third shot over my head. But I mean, I think it's great for the game. I think it's exciting for the game to have the ability to hit these highlight shots because of the additional grit or the power that the paddle provides. There is a limit, of course. If someone's hitting ground stroke winners, maybe that's not in the spirit of pickleball, but
Yeah.
I do like the hands exchanges. I do like the ability to shape the ball up into a point. It feels like we're about at that limit with the current parameters.
Interesting. Okay, that's a good perspective. It's definitely been changing over the years. And what's your favorite shot to hit? And do you have a tip for anyone who's trying to learn that shot?
Yeah. So I've got two. One shot I've been working on recently is lobbing, and not
Okay.
lobbing off the bounce, but lobbing out of the air. Okay.
Yeah.
So I actually did it quite a few times this weekend in Atlanta. But if someone's dinking to me and I'm typically taking balls out of the air and just hitting a dink back or not speeding up, that they're not prepared for a lob. They're just
Yeah.
prepared for a dink, right? So if it's the right ball and I can take it out of the air and kind of pop it over their head with a little bit of topspin, again, out of the air, that seems to be pretty effective. So I'd encourage players just to lob a little more often when they're in control of the point. And it backs people up from the line. And I think in most 4-0, 4-5 situations, they're going to have a very tough time getting that lob back into the
Yeah.
kitchen where they can reestablish themselves. So that's one. I'd say my favorite shot over the 7 years I've been playing is a misdirect backhand slice. So if I'm playing the left, and let me tell you, it doesn't work very often, but when it does work, it's beautiful. So
Yeah.
if I'm playing the left side and I'm dinking cross court to the other person on the left side, occasionally I'll try to hit a similar looking shot, but then take it up the line with a little
Right.
more pace. And it will sometimes fool that person. Usually I end up just eating a counter right in my face, but I'm sure you've gotten me a few times on that.
Oh my gosh, that's
But it's
a
my favorite
sneaky
shot because
shot.
it's my favorite shot because it looks so good when it's
It
successful.
does.
It fools the person.
It does. No, that shot can get people, and especially the lob. Thank you for reminding me about how effective it was when you were playing men's doubles. And I mean, these points were out of control, and you just, well, they were in control. Let me add that. But I mean, like the fact that you just decide to throw up a lob, I feel like in MLP format, even lobbing is scary because every point counts. I don't know. In the past, I feel like I've always been like, okay, maybe I'll lob on my serve to try it. But now, too, I am trying to lob more. I think it's so effective. And you just throw them up, and it definitely, I mean, you were lobbing Riley, right? I mean, it was
Yeah,
great.
well, and that's kind of set up based on what's happened in previous points, right? Riley
Yeah.
is I'm backing him up with counters, and he's
Yeah.
worried about me speeding up at him, and so he's not prepared for a
Yeah.
lob. And if I do it 3-4 times, yeah, by time four, that's not so good. But maybe a time or two in a game to 21, just to get him thinking about it, especially
Yeah.
earlier on in the match, so he's thinking about it later. Is could be a good strategy, but. Yeah, either I had ice water in the veins or I made some bad decisions, but I worked out this time. So yeah.
Yeah. Did you lob in tennis too, or not?
My favorite shot in tennis was actually a cross court forehand dipping passing shot. That was my favorite,
Oh,
but it's a
wow.
little harder with paddle technology to hit that particular shot in pickleball. Tennis for me, it was doubles. I loved playing doubles. I loved closing out the net. I loved using my hand
Nice.
speed. And I think that's helped me transition to pickleball as well.
Yeah, because not to talk about myself, but I was a lover in tennis, so I'm trying to just bring it more to the pickleball side because it just is so nice to hit an effective lob. There's no better feeling than be like, oh, got him.
Absolutely. And your percentage of winning those points, if you can get it over their head to drop in the court, is I don't know what the percentage is, but it's got to be high, right? You're in major control of the point. So yeah, no, and you do such a good job with using your forehand, especially, and redirecting balls to different spots of the court. So popping up a lob over their heads with a little bit of topspin. Yeah, I think it works well.
We're gonna have to bring more lobs out. Well, oh my gosh, Erik, you're literally one of my favorite people to play with. We've gotten a team up for mixed doubles. I hope we get two more in the future. And whenever people ask me, like, who do you love playing with? I always say you. So it's just an honor that when you first asked me to play, we got to play together. This was in 2022, but I have to bring up the story as a lesson to anyone listening to this podcast about when we were playing on center court at TOC against Matt and Lucy, and I felt like we had all the momentum in game 3. Mind you, this was our first tournament together, and how we came out of the timeout and had
The wrong server
the
on the wrong
wrong
side. Yeah.
the wrong side. I will never forget that because it was such a bummer. But just a tip for everyone, when you come out of a timeout, please check to make sure you're on the right side because that was a bummer.
It definitely does not hurt to ask the ref, hey, is this correct, right? In a lot of cases now in the pro tournaments, they correct you automatically. They won't let you proceed, which is
Why
good.
didn't we have that when we
I don't
played?
know. It's good for people like us that can't keep the score straight, I guess, but yeah, no, you as a mixed doubles team, you make a lot of balls, and I'm a little longer and can be aggressive, so we work well as a mixed doubles team. I know Matt and Lucy have played together a bunch of times. They have a lot of chemistry, so
Yeah.
that's a tough matchup, but we performed well up until the middle of game 3.
Yes. So good to chat with you, Erik. There's so many things we can learn. I mean, before we go, I feel like I have to ask you, I'm a very big karaoke person. I love going to those places with my friends. I don't know if you've ever been to one.
I have.
Oh, wow. We didn't know we had a singer on our hands.
No. So this is the thing. So I would definitely need a little bit of liquid courage.
Okay.
And I would need backup singer. So it sounds like you would be a good backup singer. If I had to choose a song, kind of my
Yes,
go-to
that's what I was going
song,
to ask.
and mind you, I don't get an opportunity to sing Tom Petty Free Fallin' very often, but that would be my choice of song.
Nice. Good to know. Okay, so I'm going to tell DJ Selkirk to play that at a tournament so then you're ready to go before your match.
As long as I don't have to sing, it's all good. We can play all the Tom Petty we want.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Erik, for coming on the MaryGoRound podcast. Thank you, everyone who listened, and we will see you next week.
Thanks for having me, Mary. See ya.
See ya.